Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Hello and good morning, everyone, and welcome to the first Imam Abdurrahman bin Faisal University Residency Program Fair, where in this session we'll be delving into the field of obstetrics and gynecology as a residency specialty. I am Rawal Wahebi, and I'll be your co-host today alongside my colleague Zahra Sada. This session on Obigani is part of the Residency Program Fair, which is an event that will hopefully allow medical students and graduates the opportunity to learn more about different residency programs that are available around the kingdom. And this year, the fair is covering 18 specialties from 34 centers across the kingdom. Here, you'll get the chance to hear more from Obigani residents themselves and ask them questions about their training centers, their lifestyle, and Obigani as a specialty in itself. And now, allow me to extend my warm welcome and introduce our distinguished speakers and representatives of Obigani residency programs who were kind enough today to lend their knowledge and share their insights with us today. Starting with Dr. Danish Fahad, Obigani consultant at King Fahad University Hospital in Khobar. Dr. Rifat Zahrani, Obigani resident at Security Forces Hospital in Dammam. Dr. Rawan Ba Musa, Obigani resident at King Fahad Military Medical Complex in Dhahran. Dr. Malak Al-Alwan, Obigani resident at Maternity and Children Hospital in Al-Hassa. Dr. Salma Safar, Obigani resident at Qatif Central Hospital in Al-Qatif. Dr. Hajar Al-Yaqut, Obigani resident at Maternity and Children Hospital in Dammam. Dr. Walid Al-Khamis, Obigani resident at King Khalid University Hospital in Riyadh. Thank you so much for joining us, and we're incredibly honored to have you in this session. Today, we will delve into Obigani program essentials. We'll also discuss all things from the first moment of interest till internship, and finally, the essential of the various Obigani centers available. You will definitely have the chance to direct any questions you might have to the speakers during the Q&A sessions that we will be having throughout. We sincerely hope you enjoy your time with us and find it both informative and worthwhile. And now, let's start today's session with Dr. Danish Fahad, high-risk pregnancy consultant and assistant professor at Imam Abdurrahman bin Faisal University, who will be telling us all about Obigani program essentials. So let me preface by saying, Hayakallah Dr. Dana, and we're incredibly honored to have you join us today.
Allah yahayik, Dr. Rawa. Thank you very much for the very warm welcome. Good morning, everybody. Today we'll be talking about the Obigani program, and there's a lot to say. The manual is 105 pages, but I'm going to try to make it short and simple and answer your questions when available. So should I share my screen, or do you have it ready?
We have it ready, Doctor.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, so the first question that we were supposed to answer, how many years the program is and what does it focus on? So the total is 5 years. The first 3 years are core level training, and then R4 and R5, which are the last 2 years, are master level training. Next, please. Okay, so this is the breakdown. This is what you're supposed to take. These are the rotations that you're supposed to go through, or you're supposed to train in the first years. So in the core level year, or in R1, you're supposed to take general Obigani, general obstetrics, and general gynecology. So it's all about being exposed to, let's say, general cases or simple cases. In R2 and R3, it gets more and more difficult and more specialized. And this is the breakdown of the rotations that you have to take. Next, please. Okay, in R4 and R5, it's even more specialized. So you're supposed to take subspecialty rotations, gynecology, oncology, you're supposed to take reproductive endocrinology and urogynecology in R4. In R5, in the last year, you take your elective and you go back to general as in just as a closing training. So it doesn't have to be in that order. It really depends on your program director and the availability of seats in hospitals. And we're going to talk about that later. So next, please. All right, so what are the most important CV points and interview tips in order to secure a seat? Now, everybody asks this question. Everybody asks, what is the percentage really? It really depends on the center, okay? But these are the general things that we look at. So we do look at your GPA. We do look at your internship evaluation. We do look at your Saudi license exam result and your experience in research. A lot of people ask, is it necessary to take the internship in the same center you're applying to? It's not necessary, but it is definitely a plus. So when I'm interviewing a person that I already know and I've already worked with, it's completely different. So it is a plus, but it's not a necessity. Next, please. Okay, so if you do not get accepted in the program, you do have alternatives. So the first alternative is the Imam Abdurrahman bin Faisal University Residency program. You're welcome to ask me questions later, but it is a program from the university itself. It is acknowledged by the Saudi Commission for Health Sciences, and it is basically mostly equivalent to the Saudi Commission or Saudi Board certificate. So even if you graduate, it's a 5-year program as well. If you graduate from the IAU residency program, you do qualify to go for a fellowship, just like a Saudi board exam or Saudi board certified specialists. And there is another option. You can reapply the year after. So these are your plans. As for the competition, it is highly competitive and it is getting harder. Although we do have a high demand for OB/GYN specialists, it is still high, but still each year the competition is higher. Next, please. Okay, so what are the most encountered difficulties? Now, I'm sure the residents will dwell in this really, but it's not really easy. So the nature of work and the nature of on-calls, it's a very high demanding specialty. I would say it's really demanding, but it is really rewarding on the other hand. So during the calls, you rarely get a break. It is and it's full of action, as they say, full of, you do have to be with an adrenaline rush most of the time. You do have to be able to handle situations, handle emergency cases anytime during your on-call. So, and also the number of calls make it a little bit hectic, and it's also very important to develop skills and to develop competency. And in order to do that, the program is very well structured, but in order to do that, you don't have to go with what the program tells you to do. You do have to work on yourself. So you do have to study, you do have to read, and you do have to take each and every opportunity to get involved in surgeries or whatever it is, in any learning opportunity. And in order to get through this, to get through any residency program, you do have to enjoy it. There is no way that you're going to take it or you're going to make it through without being burnt out, unless you are really enjoying what you're doing and really enjoying what you're learning. You do have to read about what you see on a daily basis. Like once you see a case, you do have to read about it. Once there is an opportunity to get involved, even if you're not the main surgeon, you do have to get involved in surgeries to develop your skills. So in the end, as I told you, it's a very, very, very demanding specialty, but also a very rewarding one. Next, please. Okay, so what do you do after? So after these 5 years, you become a board certified obstetrician gynecologist, which means that you become a specialist. And then after that, you have two options. In 3 years, if you continue working as a senior registrar or as a specialist, according to the Saudi Commission, you do automatically get promoted to a consultant. Or there is another option that you go for a fellowship program and then you become a consultant in the subspecialty that you took your program in. Next. Okay, so what are the available fellowship programs? So here in the top, you can see the fellowship programs that are available here in Saudi Arabia, or also offered by the Saudi Commission for Health Sciences. So you have infertility and reproductive endocrinology, fetal maternal medicine, gyne-oncology, and urogynecology. Now, these are also available abroad, and there are also more specialized or more options if you go abroad. So the options are either maternal medicine or obstetric medicine or high risk pregnancy. This is what I did. So it's different than fetal maternal medicine. Maternal intensive care, pediatric and adolescent gynecology. We are in very high need of this. Minimally invasive gynecology, labor ward management, and gynae surgery. So I did not really put any answers for this question because the important areas of research and campaigns, all areas are important. Okay, so yeah, there is no specific area. Research is always important. Knowing more is always important. There is nothing that I would say, well, is more important than the other, because all fields, no matter how small, all questions should be answered, should be researched, and campaigns are welcome in any field or any branch of obstetrics and gynecology. So the more research, the better, as we say.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Dana, so much for this very informative and insightful talk. I think now we can open the floor for questions. If anyone in the audience has any questions you'd like to add to Dr. Dana, please feel free to type it in the chat box.
Okay, I'm guessing there are no questions.
So if there's no questions, we can move on. Thank you so much, Dr. Dana.
Anytime. Thank you very much.
يعطيك العافية دكتور دانا.
الله يعافيك. شكرا.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Zahra Sada, and I will continue with Dr. Malak and Dr. Rawan from the first moment of interest till the internship. So Dr. Malak and Dr. Rawan, حياكم الله.
الله يحييك.
الله يحييك. Okay, so let's start. Which hospital will interns have more opportunities to be engaged and dedicated work and responsibility? And which centers best reflect the actual workload for interns and stimulate the actual residency training? Dr. Malak, you can start.
So good morning, everyone. I will start by answering this question. According to me, actually, I did my training and in the King Saud University Hospital in Riyadh, and I tried this specialty in the same hospital, and then I applied in the maternity and children hospital, and I can see that the load is totally different. So كل مكان المستشفى, I don't know if it's okay to mix between English and Arabic. بس كل ما كان المستشفى اللود فيه أكثر كل ما كانت فرصة إن أنت يعني تاخذين كيسات وإنك تشتغلين أكثر. So if I will give an advice for this question, I advise people who are interested in obs and gynae to choose a high load hospital or يعني acceptable load. Don't choose hospitals where the delivery is very low or only they accept high risk cases. This will not give you a good impression. يعني not a good impression, I mean the true picture of obs and gynae. So for us in Al-Hassa, we only have maternity and children hospital, Al-Haras and Al-Musa hospital. And the highest load is maternity and children hospital.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Malak. What do you think, Dr. Rawan?
Good morning, everyone. I agree with Dr. Malak. The highest the load in a hospital, it will benefit the resident herself. So the more you face cases, you will develop your surgical skills, of course. So yes, I agree with her. Also for King Fahad Military Medical Complex, we have a very high load of cases with high risk, سواء كانت obstetric or gynecology.
So do you have like a specific recommendation for a hospital?
Top of the list, Maternity and Children Hospital and King Fahad Military Medical Complex. These two hospitals has a very high load.
Thank you, Dr. Rawat. So moving to the next question. If I want a certain center, is it a must to take an elective rotation in the same center? And should I get a training during summer or internship in that center so that I get a seat, especially that you know the acceptance is extremely limited? Dr. Malak?
Actually, no. It's a plus زي ما قالت الدكتورة دانا بس it's not يعني something necessary. For me, I didn't take لا elective وما يعرفوني أبداً في المستشفى يعني بس it depends on your performance في الانترفيو CV. It's not يعني a necessity but it depends. Some hospitals to be honest يعني بعض المستشفيات خصوصاً programs اللي تكون في مستشفيات جامعية it is a plus if you take a rotation and if they know you. بس في المستشفيات الثانية أقل أحس.
Thank you, Dr. Malak. What do you think, Dr. Rawan?
Yeah, it's not a must to take elective rotation, but you will get a higher chances of acceptance once you present yourself in a good way during your rotation. So why not to take it?
Thank you, Dr. Rawan. So next question. What is the current requirement for Saudi specialty program for a new graduate? And is there any near plans for increasing the available seats? Dr. Rawan?
زي ما قالت الدكتورة دانا السعودي specialty program requirements ما حضيف عليها شيء بس بالنسبة neuro plans for increasing the available seats احنا حاليا عندنا 3 seats per year بس في خطة لزيادة العدد للضعف إن شاء الله السنة الجاية.
Inshallah, hope that's happening soon. Thank you, Dr. Rawan. Dr. Malak?
نفس ما قالت الدكتورة روان والدكتورة دانا بس إحنا عندنا 10 seats تقريباً per year plus or minus 2 depends on the الناس اللي تقدم يعني بس increasing more than this I'm not sure صراحة ممكن few seats يعني.
Thank you, Dr. Malak. So moving next. Give advice for interns medical students who are interested in your specialty and what are things that are needed to be prepared to have a higher chance of acceptance. Dr. Malak, could you start?
Okay, so I will start by giving an advice in general يعني حق كل أحد interested in obs and gynae. يعني في specific things of course CV, SMLE, GPA and all of these things and research of course but if you want to get accepted in a specific center just prepare well for the interview صراحة يعني from my previous experience أحس الأداء اللي تسويه في الانترفيو and if you talk an elective this will give a good impression about you and will يعني you will secure a seat easily. It's not a necessity يعني أن أنت you take an elective ولا أن أنت تكون جايب high GPA ولا whatever. Of course to get matched أصلاً في requirements معينة بس I mean after getting matched لما يكون بس باقي على الانترفيو my advice to be honest يعني أن prepare well for the interview. Talk about yourself in a good way. يعني أحيانا نفس الأشياء اللي إحنا نقدر نتكلم عنها بس it's about how you present yourself.
Thank you, Dr. Malak. Dr. Rawan?
Yes, I agree with Dr. Malak. It's very important to present yourself in a good way during the interview. And if I can add one more thing, there is a course called also Advanced Life Support in Obstetrics. If you can take it, it will be a plus for you.
Why this course specifically?
It's for obs and gynae. It's like ATLS, ACLS for medical and surgical specialties, but this is for OB-GYN.
Thank you, Dr. Rawan. So next question, what books do you recommend for interested students or interns? Dr. Malak?
Actually, for students and interns, I can advise for Baby William, the small one, or John Hopkins. For me, يعني الصراحة, يعني John Hopkins, there is a small book. You can take it with you, and it has rich information in simple way, not too simple, يعني simple way in comparison to the big box. في كتب ثانية يعني if your question means for reading or for clinical or daily reading.
So the best book you recommend, which one?
For me, for daily reading, John Hopkins, but for يعني reading for increasing your knowledge, Williams and لا إله إلا الله راح من بالي اسم الثاني. في ويليامز أوبس أند جايني وفيه في أرورا طبعا بس it's not the reference for Obs and Gynae also, but I recommend Williams.
Thank you, Dr. Malak. Dr. Rawan, what is your recommendation?
Yes, I agree with Dr. Malak. For students and interns, if you like pictures, Aurora can benefit from it. There's a lot of pictures in Aurora, and you can read about the subject.
So what kind of thing that distinguish this resource from the other? Only the pictures, or for example, what about the informations and so on?
For me, Aurora, compared to the other books, it has يعني the enough information about each topic, and then you can choose which area you think you need to read about more and which area you think it's enough. But yeah, there is more pictures, more questions also. يعني هذا الشيء المميز صراحة في أرورا. After each chapter, there is questions 30 to 50 وكل question في explanation. والexplanation, it might be something new not written in the chapter itself. So yeah, learning by this way is much easier than reading from a big textbook without questions, without clinical cases. So this is an advantage also in Aurora.
Thank you, Dr. Malak. And thank you, Dr. Rawan. Do you want to add something, Dr. Rawan?
No, thank you.
Okay. So next question. We know that the transition from the intern to being a resident contains a lot of added responsibilities on the patient care specifically. What are your intakes on this? Dr. Rawan?
Okay, it will not only add the responsibility on the patient care alone, it will play an important role to your personality too. You will get the benefits, face a lot of challenges, ups and downs. You will learn how to be professional with your colleagues and everyone there and grow up. So this is the residency life. So welcome, inshallah.
Thank you, Dr. Rawan. Dr. Malak, what do you think?
Actually, I think also there is residency program in general, يعني it will teach you how to be patient and it will show you that you really can do a lot of things. يعني maybe if you heard someone talking about their residency life and the amount of load and pressure they have, you will think like it's mission impossible, but no. With time, the threshold level will be more and you will be able to more يعني to do more stuff. So it will affect you on the personal side also.
Thank you, Dr. Rawan, and thank you, Dr. Malak. So do you want to add anything?
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
Thank you very much. So now we will move to the next part, which is Obstetric and Gynecology Program Center Essential with Dr. Dana. Dr. Dana, حياك الله again.
الله يحييك دكتورة, thank you. Okay, so it's just a brief presentation about how it is like in King Fahad University Hospital, which is our hospital, تبع Imam Abdurrahman Faisal University. Now, يعني, to those who don't know, it's located in the beautiful city of Al-Khabar. And next, please. Okay, so how many positions per year are opened in the center? Now, just a comment. الدكاترة قبل شوي قالوا إنه it really depends on the center, but there's a general rule for every center. Every center that is accredited as a training center takes يعني لازم يكون the ratio of residents to consultants 3:1. So it depends on the number of acting consultants or active consultants in the department. The total of residents, not per year, the total of residents should not exceed this. Okay, so min R1 ila R5, we should have, like, let's say we have 10 consultants, we should have the total of 30 maximum, 30 trainees or 30 residents. Okay, so how many positions per year are opened in our center? It differs from year to year. And it depends on the position, so training versus employee, but usually we take around 3 to 5 new residents per year, okay? And so again, the ratio should be 3:1. We do have 10 active consultants, and we have the total of 30 residents. How did I choose the center? That was ages ago, but it is a teaching center. And there are research opportunities, a lot of academic activities that you can benefit from. And it is considered a tertiary hospital, so we do have subspecialties available. The weakness in the center probably is there is less exposure in general obstetrics. So I think Dr. Rawan mentioned this before. Especially for the core level training, which is from R1 to R3, it is better to have as much exposure as possible. You might not find this in a tertiary center like our center. Okay, so you would find a higher yield or better exposure in, let's say, MCH, whether in Dammam or in Hassa, because they have a higher number of deliveries and a lot of general cases. However, when it comes to subspecialties or when it comes to high-risk cases and specialized cases, it is better to be trained in a tertiary center. So it really depends. Next, please. Okay, so how many rotations are taken outside the center? Also, it depends on the need of the trainee staff in the hospital, but usually if the subspecialty is available in the center, you will stay in it. Okay, in our center, we do have the subspecialty, so we do have urogynecology, we do have fetal maternal medicine, we do have an ICU, so all the rotations are taken in the center except for 3. The general OB/GYN, as I said, just because we need higher exposure. So in R1 and R2, we do send our residents to hospitals with more general cases, usually MCH or military hospitals. And then Gynecology is not available in our center, so we do send our residents to other centers, usually the specialist hospital in Dammam. And if you take an elective, you do have the right to take an elective rotation, and it's up to you, really. You choose to stay in the center or you can even go abroad if you like. It all depends on your communication and your arrangement with the program director. So about the opportunity to work on research projects, yes, there are many research opportunities as our hospital is a university hospital. So it's nice to, especially if you're interested in a certain subspecialty and you're taking a rotation in that, it's a good opportunity to conduct your research in that field. Next, please. Okay, so busy slide, but it's just what are the educational opportunities that are available for residents. So we do, so there are a lot. I don't know if I missed anything, but we do have a weekly, half day academic day for residents. So it's a protected time for residents, and usually they do presentations, journal club, and they do discussions, case discussions, and it's really of high benefit to all the residents. There are research opportunities, as I said, daily morning reports and case-based discussions. We do have grand rounds twice weekly, so we discuss all the cases that are admitted in our unit. High-risk rounds are done twice a month. Fetal medicine meetings are done twice a month. Bedside teaching and consultant-led rounds, these are done daily. OR cases with hands-on training. So you do have a good opportunity to be involved in surgery and develop your surgical skills. Delivery room rotations with hands-on training as well. Clinics, general clinics and specialized clinics are there, and you are expected not only to be a part of it, but also to lead some of the clinics with, of course, the supervision or the presence of the consultant. Hands-on training in obstetric and pelvic ultrasound. Direct supervision in OBGYN ER. So we do have our own obstetric and gynecology emergency room, and this is a very good opportunity to know how to deal with emergency cases. Obstetrics and gynecology workshops, seminars, and webinars. We used to be more active probably before COVID, but still they are ongoing. Again, there are teaching opportunities. So you yourself, if you become a resident in the center, since it is a teaching hospital, you will get a chance to teach students as well. And that is a very good way to learn. So when you teach, you will not forget. Next, please. All right, so how is the performance usually assessed? It's an accumulative assessment. So usually your skills, knowledge, and performance is assessed by the unit consultant quarterly, every 3 months. And also there are things that there are forms on the 145 system offered by the Saudi Commission for Health Sciences. These are assessment tools. You send them to your consultant and your consultant fills them. So basically they're clinical evaluation exercises, case-based discussions, direct observation of practical skills, and multi-source feedback. So all of these, nothing goes to waste. Okay, so whatever you do during the day, you can always ask your consultant to fill a form for you. If you saw a case, if you discussed a case, if you did a surgery or you assisted in a surgery, and case-based discussions in rounds. So these are all pluses. The thing is that the general assessment, the quarterly assessment, you have to pass it. And you do have to at least pass these forms that are filled by the consultant. Okay, so does the center provide its residents or fellows with opportunities to complete their training abroad? Elective rotations can be taken abroad. And if you do finish your residency, there are a lot of, elective rotations are taken abroad during the residency program. If you finish your residency program and you become board certified, whether it's the IAU program or the Saudi board program, there are a lot of opportunities to go abroad for a fellowship program, but it depends on the need. But I say we still have a very, very good chance for our residents to go abroad later on for fellowships. Okay, next. طيب. Nature of work, a very commonly asked question. Now, according to your Saudi Commission manual, the core years, which are R1 to R3, you are supposed to have the minimum of 6 calls per month. And for R4 and R5, you're supposed to have the minimum of 5 per month. For us, all seniors and juniors have the average of 6 calls per month. So rarely 7, but from what I see, it's usually 6. During the week, if you do have a call during the week, so from Sunday till Thursday, your call is 16 hours. And you just come to the hospital at 4 o'clock. The pre-call time is off. And then the post-call time, the post-call day, you're off as well. During the weekends, it's 24 hours. So I'm talking about Friday and Saturday, 24 hours from 9 to 9. It's busy, demanding, however rewarding, as I said before. And as for your leaves, you get 30 days annual leave, and you get 2 weeks off on one of the 8 holidays. So you have to work one of the 8 holidays and get off. So it's usually 12 to 14 days, depending on what the government gave during that 8 holiday. Next, please.
طبعا عندهم شيء معقد اللي هو اتش وهو احسن يعني تكونوا تحطونها باي مكان ما تخافون على نفسكم.
Okay, so if anyone has any general questions, and I just spoke about our center, but I'm sure doctors, if you want to say anything about the other centers.
Thank you, Dr. Dana. But for our hospital, it's almost the same regarding the on-calls and the holidays. And other questions, you covered everything. I have nothing to say.
There is a question, Doctor, in the chat.
Sure.
What is the OB/GYN workshop, and where we can find or take?
The OB/GYN work. Okay, so it depends on each year. So each year we do have also طيب, which is the advanced life support in obstetrics, as Dr. mentioned. I think we just had one, and the next one is going to be in March. Okay, so and then there are some seminars, some webinars. They're very scattered. Until now, we did not announce the ones for 2021, but you can find them. You can actually contact the medical education. I can happily provide you with her email, the medical education secretary, and she can give you the timetable of each and every year for all the specialties, all the seminars and all the workshops that are available for each year. And so usually we do have that. We do have some. Usually we do have some perineal repair workshops. We have minimally invasive workshops as well that are specific to gynecology. We do have also, as we said, and we do have general OB/GYN seminars. I don't know this year when it's going to be, but it will be done soon. And also there is a workshop for obstetric emergencies. It was a very big hit last year, and it will be defined inshallah على March. راح ينزل الجدول for all our, I'm sorry if I'm speaking in Arabic, but راح ينزل الجدول for all the activities that we're going to have in 2021.
Thank you, Doctor. Now we will move to the next part. So now I will just have like the same question that the doctor covered, but I will ask them for the residents from the different centers, including Dr. Malak Al-Alwan, Dr. Rawan Pamusa, Dr. Rifa Al-Zahrani, Dr. Hajar Al-Yaqut, Dr. Salma Al-Saffar. So welcome everyone. حياكم الله دكاترة.
الله يحييك.
So let's start with the first question. How many positions per year are opened in the center? And why did you choose this center? And what are the center's strength and weakness? So starting with Dr. Salma. Dr. Salma, could you hear me? Okay, it's okay. Let's move to Dr. Rifa.
How many positions per year are opened in the center? It depends. Last year we had 3. The year before we had 4. So it depends really on the number of junior level, not the total number. Why did you choose this center? I didn't choose it. I transferred from another center, but I'm grateful that I was accepted in Security Forces Hospital. What are the center's strengths and weaknesses? We have a high flow of obstetrical cases. The weaknesses would be we don't have much minimal invasive surgeries, i.e. just the laparoscopic exposure for me is not that high. We saw a lot of hysteroscopic cases, but not a lot of laparoscopy. That's it.
Thank you, Dr. Rifa.
You're welcome.
Okay, Dr. Hajar.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
Hello. How many positions? As they said, it depends on the year. Minimum, we have 5 positions, but some years we have more. يعني, one of the year we had 10 positions. How did I choose the center? It's a highly specialized hospital with many chances. This is the strength point for this for our hospital. We have variety of cases and يعني you will face everything. You will see everything in the first 2 years. The weakness, it's so busy. يعني the on-calls will be disaster, but يعني the benefit in you will see everything in the first 2 years at least. That's it.
Okay, Dr. Hajar, you are from Maternity and Children Hospital in Dammam. That's okay. That's correct.
Yes.
Yes. So you said regarding the position, it depends. So what do you mean by it depends?
Which one? The position?
Regarding the number of position per year, yes.
It depends على number of residents and the need of the department itself. يعني we have many. Dr. Dana said and it's 3 residents per 1 consultant. We have 20 consultants. So يعني if the department needs, they will accept more. That's it.
Okay, thank you, doctor. So Dr. Malak from Maternity and Children Hospital in Al-Hassa. So what do you think?
So in our hospital, we have around 10 seats per year. Why did I choose this center? As I mentioned before, in Al-Hassa, we don't have variety of options, to be honest, يعني. But for me, I thought that the most important thing to have a good training is having to be trained in a center with a good exposure. So this is the strength point in our hospital. The exposure is incredible, really. And seriously, within one duty, sometimes within one on-call, 24 hours on-call, you will have different cases, high-risk cases, complicated cases, and it covers all Al-Hassa area. The weakness that we don't have a system. It's a paperwork hospital, including labs and everything. The only thing we can see using the system is the MRI, ultrasounds, and X-ray department things. Otherwise, it's a paperwork.
Thank you, Dr. Malak. So what about King Fahad Military Medical Complex in Zahran, Dr. Rawan?
Okay, for our hospital, how many positions? We have 3, as I mentioned before, but we are planning to increase the number this year, inshallah. Why did you choose this center? I took it as rotation in my internship year, and I liked the environment there. I liked the bloody scenes and the adrenaline rush. I enjoyed it. For the strength point, we have variety of high-risk cases with multidisciplinary teams with other specialties. We also have good chances to develop your surgical skills. Even for gynae cases exposure, we have hysterectomy, myomectomy, laparoscopic surgeries as ectopic pregnancy and ovarian cystectomy, and so on. For the weakness, يعني ناخذ مثلا خلال شهر واحد I attended 3 myomectomies. So we have good exposure. Sometimes no, it depends. For the weakness, we might have a less number of staff service job physicians.
Thank you, Dr. Rawan. Okay, Dr. Salma from Qatif Central Hospital. So could you hear me, Dr. Salma?
Yeah, clearly.
Yes. Okay, go ahead, doctor.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm Salma Safar, R3 from Qatif Central Hospital. So how many positions per year? We have 5 positions per year, 6 candidates for 5 positions. Why I did choose this center? Because I found the health environment in our hospital. I took the mandatory rotation in there and my electives there. What's our center strengths? It has many varieties of cases and more exposure. Like that, we receive the cases from Eastern province, like from Ras Tanura, from Arera, from Al-Qarya Al-Alya. All these cases, we have referrals from them. And our weakness that we don't have subspecialties in our hospitals like onco, urogynecology, and fertility. And we don't have laparoscopic cases. And the second weakness, like paperwork, more paperwork than system work. That's it.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Next question. How many rotations are taken outside the center? And do you get the let's just focus on the first question, sorry. How many rotations are taken outside the centers? So what do you think, Dr. Malak, about maternity and children hospital in Al-Hasa?
So in our hospital, it depends on the need each month regarding the general rotation. But in general, the rotations who are available in our hospital, يعني غالبا ما يعني you cannot take it outside if it's there in the hospital. But other things not covered in our hospital, you can go outside rotation. And sometimes if there is like a good number of residents, they can send you outside even for general. But the main role is if it's covered in our hospital, you will not go outside.
So what kind of things that it is not covered in your hospital?
Like oncology, infertility, urogynecology. We have fetal-maternal and general obs and gyn. Otherwise, you have to take the things outside, like infertility, as I mentioned, and oncology. Sorry.
So what kind of centers that you take these rotations in?
It's okay. You can take it in Riyadh, Bahrain, wherever يعني. Any place which is يعني يكون مكان معترف فيه for training, and you can take it outside anywhere, even abroad يعني.
Thank you, Dr. Malak. Dr. Rawan, what about King Fahad Military Medical Complex in Zahran?
Okay, for the outside rotations, we have to take the subspecialties as oncology, urogynecology, and infertility. For MFM, we have one consultant MFM, but there is no unit as one consultant, so we can take it outside the hospital.
Thank you, Dr. Rawan. Dr. Rifa, what do you think about Security Forces Hospital in Dammam?
In Security Forces Hospital, we don't have subspecialized consultants. They are all general consultants. So all our rotations that are in the subspecialties are taking outside our hospital.
So it is the same as Dr. Malak that you can take it anywhere?
Yeah, it depends on the availability, the seats that available in the other centers. We have to apply earlier, يعني, especially with the COVID situation.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Rifa. Okay, Dr. Hajar, what about maternity and children hospital in Dammam regarding rotation intake outside the center?
Okay, we have most of the specialties except the oncology and urogynecology. But if you want to take any rotation outside the hospital, they allow you if you applied early. In the beginning of the year, you said, I want to take this rotation outside the hospital, they will schedule you. It's okay for us. And the infertility and MFM rotations, better to be taken, if you will take it in the Eastern province, better to take it in our hospital. It's very good units.
Thank you, Dr. Hajar. Dr. Salma Al-Saffar, what about Qatif Central Hospital? What kind of rotation that you take it outside the center?
As we don't have subspecialties in our hospital, so all the subspecialties in the program, we are taking them outside the hospital. because all our consultants are general obstetrician.
Thank you, Dr. Salma. So next question, do you get opportunity to work on a research project as a resident? So Dr. Rifa from Security Forces Hospital, could you start?
Yeah, do you get the opportunity to work in a research? You must work in a research. It is mandatory because it is in our curriculum as in obstetric and gynecology to have a research submitted before your final exam in the 5th year. So you have to. Unfortunately, in our center, we don't have a research, I think, center or authority. But you must submit and take the approval from another center. But you have to work on a research during your residency year, at least one.
Thank you, Doctor. So Dr. Hajar Liaqut from Maternity and Children Hospital in Dammam.
Yes, you must do a research during your residency. For me, I participated in a case report. Not a research, but you must do it before you finish your program.
Thank you. Dr. Salma Safar from Qatif Central Hospital.
Yeah, as my colleague said, it's a mandatory thing to do it in our program. It's needed for the board exam.
So if you want to do it voluntary, so you can do it?
We don't have research centers. We can conduct, but we don't have any authority or research centers.
Okay, thank you, Doctor. Okay, Dr. Malak Al-Alwan from Maternity and Children Hospital in Al-Hasa.
Okay, so regarding the research, we have like a committee for research. You can take advices and they can help in research. So yeah, you can do a voluntary research in addition to the mandatory one.
Thank you, Dr. Malak. Dr. Rawan?
Yes, we also have a research committee in our hospital, and as it's mandatory, you can do it before. The earlier you start it in your residency, the better. We also have our hospital system is electronic, so there is something like coding. Any diagnosis we enter it, you can search it electronically with the IT department, and it will be easier for you for the data collection time. So this is a plus for the system, and yeah, it's mandatory, and you have to take it.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you very much. Now I will move on with my colleague Rawa. Rawa.
Okay, now doctors, we'd like to know what are the educational opportunities that are available for residents, and where do you get most of your learning from? If you could tell us, Dr. Malak, what it's like in Maternity and Children Hospital, Al-Hasa.
Okay, so we have some educational activities focusing on the knowledge, and also we have things focusing on the CanMed, which is focusing on how to get a professional doctor, how to work with a multidisciplinary team. Also regarding the knowledge part, we have a half-day activity each week. We have journal club, and also we started something new, which is discussing new guidelines each week. Also, we try to discuss the high-risk cases, and we have ground round. From where I get the most of my learning, actually, I believe that and it has to be more than one thing. Reading alone is not enough, and being in the field without reading is not enough. So they complete each other. You have to work more and read more to get the most amount of benefit.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Malak. Dr. Rawan, would you like to tell us more about the educational opportunities in King Fahad Military Medical Complex?
Okay, beside the academic half-day activity, which mentioned before, with different workshop subjects, we also have the Zoom online lectures from the Saudi Commission twice a week, provided by the Scientific Council for different doctors among the kingdom. For our hospital, we also have the take-home messages and discuss it later on in the educational group. We also have mentors assigned for each resident to help them and guide them through our residency journey. Also, the ground round once a week. We also have mortality and morbidity meetings from time to time, and we are engaged in the quality and research projects with Journal Club. That's it.
Thank you, Dr. Rawan. Would you like to tell us more, Dr. Rifa, about the educational opportunities in Security Forces Hospital?
I think it is the same applied in all hospitals. The half-day academic or the academic half-day is a teaching based on a consultant rather than the residents themselves. You will have a consultant each week. Usually we have our program director that give us the teaching. Previously, we had the Eastern Province half academic day, which was held, I think, once per month. Also, يعني morning rounds and the ground rounds, attending OPDs. Where do you get most of your learning from? It depends on you as a resident. You prefer reading or you prefer practicing? For me, I prefer reading more than practicing. Practice, it will come with time because you have to work. But if you don't read, then it will be your fault.
Yeah. Thank you, Doctor.
You're welcome.
So I want just to welcome Dr. Ahlam Al-Ghamdi. She is with us today. So thank you, Dr. Ahlam. حياك الله, Doctora. Could you please enrich us with your knowledge and information as you are the regional head of residency program of Gyne. So hello, Doctor.
السلام عليكم. صباح الخير. يعني مع الصبح ما شاء الله تبارك الله، أنا ما كنت أدري إنه عندكم ال good activity وال very يعني excellent initiative. For the questions that you are asking the residents to enrich the future in residents اللي هم interns حاليا are excellent, and this is what they need to know. بالنسبة لل educational activities or positions, يعني زي ما تفضلوا الأخوات وقالوا each center has its own activities and own educational activities، وبالإضافة إلى ال National Virtual Teaching اللي الهيئة مسويتها حالياً الفترة هذه. بس كان عندي ملاحظة على positions. Position is not chosen according to the center's يعني just request. It has to be approved by the Saudi Council. So what happens is that each center is given an agreed upon position every year by the Saudi Council according to the accrediting unit who accredited the center as a teaching or training center. Now, if the program director wishes to increase the number of seats, then they apply to the Saudi Council, and then it's reconsidered and looked at. And it goes through the regional head, which is me, and then we approve it, and then it goes further to Riyadh. So it's not upon if they need, and it's just one yes, no, it's a long process. So number of seats are standard and fixed unless there is a request from the center. هذه الملاحظة بس كنت بقولها في وقت لما قلت البوزيشنز كم عندنا كل سنة. It's standard, it's fixed by the Saudi Council when they came and accredited the centers. ويعطيكم ألف عافية. يعني the presentation excellent. I can see the interaction and everybody is looking forward to listen and hear what the experience of the residents are. أنا بالنسبة لي is enriching because I need to know down to the residents. I don't only speak to the program directors. I need to hear from the residents what they're facing, what are their problems, and what are the limitations in each center. So it's a good opportunity that I'm with you, everybody. ويعطيكم ألف عافية.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ahlam.
Thank you, Doctor. We're honored to have you join us today. So now, Dr. Hader, could you please tell us more about the educational opportunities in maternity and children's hospital in Dammam?
Okay, about education, we have As my colleague said, the morning reports is very rich with the education. We have teaching rounds. We have the Thursday afternoon activity unless يعني بس هذه الفترة شوية موقفين. The lectures that the Saudi Commission are making. You will enter OR, OPD with any consultant, you will learn أكيد for sure.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Hajar. What about Qatif Central Hospital, Dr. Salma?
Yeah, we mainly we taking our education from the morning report, rounds, and half-day activity. That's it.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Salma. So now moving on to the next question. How is the performance usually assessed during the residency? Would you like to tell us more about this, Dr. Malak, in the Maternity and Children's Hospital?
In our hospital, almost it's the same as what Dr. Dana mentioned. You have been assessed each 3 months by the consultant you're covering with. In addition to the things should be covered on the 145, you have evaluation each quarter, and at least you have to pass. And also, if you have a mentor, you can have a feedback session each month or each quarter according to the performance يعني. So yeah.
Sounds good. Thank you, doctor. What about King Fahd Military Medical Complex, Dr. Rawan?
Okay, beside what we have mentioned, the 145 and including on the professional approach, your history taking is important, physical examination, and your clinical judgment. Plus the communication skills, I think it's very important to develop your communication skills. So yes, this is how your performance will be assessed, inshallah.
Thank you, doctor. Dr. Rifa, could you please tell us more about the performance assessment in Security Forces Hospital?
It is the same system applied in all hospitals. You have an ITER, which is an evaluation for the whole quarter, done by the consultant that you are in their team. Then you have the MINISIAC, the CPD, and the DOPS, which are, it's like a long case discussion with your consultant. Then you have a short case, and you have to attend an OR and work in front of the consultant. And they will evaluate you upon your performance. You can also, it is not just the idea of having your performance assisted. It's not just, they will not send you the evaluation without a feedback from you. You have the right to accept or reject the evaluation, which is something صراحة very good for us as a resident. And the evaluation is not submitted unless you discuss it with your consultant, which is also a bonus.
Okay, thank you, doctor. Dr. Hajar, could you please tell us more about the assessment in Maternity and Children's Hospital?
Yeah, it's the same also in our hospital, but the point is if you are working with another consultant other than the one you are assigned with, they can evaluate you. They will tell your consultant about it. So they will share the information about you and everything you do. That's it. Nothing to add.
Yeah, thank you. What about Qatif Central Hospital, Dr. Salma, in regards to the evaluation assessment?
As Dr. Dana said, and every one of my colleagues said, it's the same in 145 system, ITERS, MINISIC, CBD. And also beside it, we have mentors feedback every 3 months.
Sounds good. Thank you, doctors. So now to the next question. We'd like to know whether the center provides the residents or fellows with the opportunities to complete the training abroad. Would you talk to us more about this, Dr. Malak, in Maternity and Children's Hospital?
Actually, in our center, you can take electives and rotations during the residency. But regarding fellowship, no, we don't have this in our center. They don't. Yeah, but regarding residency, yeah, They will يعني support you if you want to go abroad or if you want to go anywhere during the residency only.
Yes, okay. And Dr. Roman, what about King Fahd Military Medical Complex?
Yes, we don't have this opportunity too in our training center.
Oh, so it's not available. Okay.
Yes,
What
not
about Security Forces Hospital, Dr. Rifa?
Unfortunately, we don't have it too.
And the Maternity Children Hospital, Dr. Hajar?
Yes, we had it. It started last year, actually. We have 4 of our post-graduated doctors went, 2 of them to Korea and 1 to Riyadh and 1 to Takhasusi. They just started last year.
Could you please tell us more about this?
Yeah, they finished their program in our hospital and they applied for a fellowship sponsored by our hospital, and they went to complete their fellowship.
Thank you, Doctor. And Dr. Salma, do you have this opportunity in Qatif Central Hospital?
No, unfortunately, we don't have it. Either
Okay,
for
thank you.
residency or fellowships.
Okay, thank you, doctors. So now, coming to my final question, we'd like to know if you could tell us please more about the work nature in terms of like on-calls, how many times per month, the lifestyle of the specialty, and the expected outcomes at the end of the year, like breaks and holidays, from your perspective. Could you talk to us, Dr. Malak?
Actually, regarding to the on-calls, we have the minimum number of on-calls for the juniors, 6 on-calls, and for the seniors, 5 on-calls. And it could be more according to the available number of residents each month. Regarding the lifestyle, actually it depends. أحس إنه part of the way you're seeing your life during يعني your residency depends on the way you're handling everything. If you can manage your time, you know when to read, from where to read, what are the things you really should spend your time on. يعني your lifestyle will not be that bad. يعني كل residency programs during residency you will have a hard time. You have to read, you have to practice. It's your time to learn. But if you know how to manage your time, I think you will have a good lifestyle. يعني the expected outcomes at the end of the year, طبعا كل each year there is a requirements يعني from the practical side and the even the evaluations. Each year, if you're a junior or a senior, there's different requirements. Breaks and holidays, we have 30 days a year, and in addition to the Eid coverage, one Eid you cover and the other Eid is free.
Yes, sounds good. Thank you, Doctor. What about you, Dr. Rawan? Would you like to talk to us more about this?
Okay, for us, our on-calls for 24 hours duration, and the number of on-calls will depend on the number of residents in that month. So sometimes could be 4 on-calls, and sometimes till the maximum, which is 7. So it depends on the number actually. And for the lifestyle, it's according to your way of accommodation and your passion in the specialty. If you enjoy it, it will be easier. But we cannot ignore the fact of the stressful lifestyle and the burnout during the residency journey. Yes, it can present in any other specialty, but as you know, the obs-gynae is very stressful. We also have اللي هو برنامج داعم من هيئة التخصصات الصحية. وبالنسبة للمستشفى عندنا كمان clinic for الدعم النفسي, hotlines available all the times. For the leaves, we have the annual leave of 30 days each year, educational leave for 7 days, and 2 weeks off for each one of the Eids holidays, as everybody else. So this one is fixed.
Okay.
That's it.
Thank you, Doctor. Dr. Rifa, would you like to tell us more about the situation in Security Forces Hospital?
In terms of the on-calls, it differs based on your level. Postgraduate year one resident, they will have a minimum of 6 to 7 on-calls per month. Me as an R4, I have for the past, from the starting of an R4, I have 6 on-calls, 5 to 6 on-calls per month. Our on-calls is 16 hours in the let's say the days, the weekdays, and the weekends we have it as 24 hours. Lifestyle, it depends upon you. For me, as a resident, what interests me more is staying in the hospital rather than spending time outside the hospital. So what is my preference of spending time? It differs from one resident to another. But yes, it is a hectic specialty. It is كيف أشرح؟ once you go into obs and gyn, it's not about love. You will not continue in obs and gyn because you love it. You have to endure a lot صراحة, because even 16 hours is, when you say 16 hours on calls, it seems light, but it is not, especially in our specialty, because you are dealing with lives rather than one. The expected outcomes at the end of the year, it depends on your level. It depends on your goals also. You have to have goals, which is just write what you want to do. For example, ORs, I want to attend ovarian cystectomy. I want to do an ovarian cystectomy. Just put a list for your own sake, and talk to the program director or your mentor. Breaks and holidays, we have the 28 days as a holiday, annual holiday. We have one of the aids should be covered. And I think we have 7 days educational leave that you can take courses within.
Thank you, Doctor. What about the work nature in maternity and children's hospital, Dr. Hadir?
Okay, our on-calls are 16 hours. You will have maximum of 7 on-calls. Usually every 4 weeks we have 7 on-calls. It doesn't depend on your level. So you are junior or senior, you will have the same on-calls because it's the same group fixed. You will be with your group, 1 senior and 3 juniors will cover the OPD on-calls is the same. For the holidays, we have the 30 days and 2 weeks of Eid and the 7 days for study leave. What else? Expected outcomes, as Dr. Arifa, mashallah, said, you have to make your goals to reach it at the end of the year. That's it.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Hadir. Dr. Salma, what about Qatif Central Hospital?
We have 6 to 7 on-calls per month, 16 hours in the weekdays and 12 hours in the weekends. About the lifestyle, from my opinion, you can find your lifestyle wherever you go. You can have a good lifestyle by managing your time. For about the breaks and holidays, like our colleague said, it's like 30 days annual leave and 7 days study leave and 2 weeks for 1 of 8. Thank you.
Thank you, doctor. So these are the questions I have. Before we move on to the Q&A session, Dr. Ahmed, would you like to add anything to the discussion or share your insights if you have anything to add?
يعطيكم العافية. Nothing actually. I'm just enjoying your talk. بس كان ملاحظة حطيتها في الchat regarding the research. Somebody just said that I wrote a case report. Remember, the Saudi Council does no longer accept case reports as a project for your graduation, inshallah. So I just wrote it in the chat.
Thank you, doctor. Now we open the floor for questions. If anyone in the audience has any questions you would like to add or direct to any of the speakers, please feel free to type it in the chat box. So would anyone would like to ask any questions? So it seems like it's all clear. And by this, we have come to the end of the session. I'd like to thank all of our distinguished speakers. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you taking the time to share your knowledge and insight with us today. Thank you, Dr. Danish Fahad. Thank you, Dr. Ahlam Al-Ghamdi, Dr. Malak Al-Alwan, Dr. Rawan Bamusa, Dr. Rifa Zahrani, Dr. Hajar Al-Yaqut, Dr. Salma Safar. It was really a great honor to have you join us today. And thank you to all the attendees for choosing to spend your time with us today. We hope you had a great time and that we were able to address your questions about the residency programs. And we hope that you got to form an idea about the available OB/GYN programs and what might be the right one for you. Thank you again, and we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you. يعطيكم العافية.
Sorry to interrupt, but there is a question. In OB/GYN interviews, does the interviewers usually ask scientific questions such as a clinical scenario or something?
For me, in MCH, I was asked in my interview about, actually I started about saying a case, and they asked me and digged in with the case. So yeah, they might ask you, but it will not depend on your deep knowledge on the case, but in general, and you know what you're answering.
For me also, I had a scientific, sorry to interrupt, Dr.
لا لا تفضلي.
For me also, I had a question in one of my interviews. It was a scientific question, but I felt like they want to assess if you're a safe doctor or not more than your knowledge. But yeah, you might be asked.
بس ملاحظة, just remember that the interview is an art. The interviewer is basically addressing some points in the interview. فهذا الpoint he can get, for example, I can know your knowledge from your GPA, from your recommendation letters, and how you do. So I don't want to waste the interview asking you about cases مثلا. لكن if you tumble in while you're talking a case, انت حطيتي نفسك في المأزق هذا. They will. So it's an art. You can guide the interview.
بالضبط دكتور, هذا اللي صار.
Yeah. So you can, because the interviewer doesn't have questions مكتوبة كده قدام when he will ask. So it just comes. There are points they have to address and they have to put grades on, and these points he can get them from the way you talk, the way you present, the papers you have, documentation. Like if you talk about a case, or for example, they just ask you about a case, it's not they want to know the deep knowledge, they just want to know how you deal with such a case, how you deal with emergency cases, are you safe or not in depth.
Actually, I agree with you, Dictora. The interview is really depends on you. I had one of my interviews. They asked me, I mentioned something and then they left everything else and they focus on it. I had one of my electives abroad, so the interview went talking about that place, what did you do, and whatever. So it's an art. You can guide the interview toward the strength points you have.
Thank you, doctor. So just in general, doctors, do you have like a specific advice for the interns or students, especially that we are now in the time that we have people now doing their interviews?
Well, from my point of view, there are some courses or some workshops that show you how to pass an interview, and they are useful. But as one of the residents said, you have to show how interested you are in the field and how committed you are to be a safe obstetrician gynecology. Yeah, صدقوني, the way you present yourself is the key point. يعني ممكن أنا ألقى واحدة GPA حقها 4.9 out of 5 لكن she doesn't express herself, she doesn't talk well, she doesn't respond quickly, she's not bright, I mean in the interview. So maybe I would choose somebody who has a less GPA in her situation where she was so confident in her speech, she knows what she wants, she's talking fluently, she's dressing well, very good, she has a good character. So it's not only about knowledge in the interview.
Also, I want to mention something else. It's very important to know how to present yourself and the things you have. I applied for something and then I didn't get accepted. Then the year after, I applied again. I had the same CV, the same things. يعني I didn't create something out of this world within 1 year. But the things يعني اللي غيرتها في the second interview, the way I presented myself and the things I have. Sometimes you have a really good, strong point and you did amazing things, but you don't know how to mention it in a good way. So I think this is very important. Yani they don't want a CV full of activities and research and extracurricular activities. It's very important about how to express and how to talk about it.
Thank you, Dr. Ahlam and Dr. Malak, for your information. So any of the other doctor want to add something?
First of all, I would
Just
like
relax
to
and be
thank
yourself.
everybody. I would just like to add something. Okay, so when it comes to interviews, okay, you should know how to present yourself. That's correct, but you should know what to present. If you have, as Dr. Malak said, a busy CV, and you did a lot of things, you were involved in so many research projects, you had so many extracurricular activities, you should know what the interviewer wants from you. Okay, so if you want to present yourself and if you want to talk about your achievements and what you did, choose them, because they have the CV there. Okay, just choose them and know how to present them, know how to give them an idea about you in brief. Okay, always be ready for that question. Talk about yourself. Always be ready for that question. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? And always have the two eyes, the initiative and the interest. So this is what I wanted to add. And I also wanted to thank everyone for organizing this. And I hope that it will really be an annual thing. I hope that it was beneficial. And thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Dr. Dana. Any of the other doctor want to add something?
I just want to tell Dana, because she just joined the department lately, she was abroad. In the last, let's say 5 years, I think, or more, the university has been doing this alumni day, and they invite speakers from different subspecialties, I mean, major to minor departments, and they organize the conference or the workshop on 2 days sometimes. And then the interns or the attendees have the chance to see all the programs and ask the people concerned about the situations. And every year it was a different theme or a different way of presentation. So this is another way of doing it. This is a new way of virtual meeting. I remember I was involved in maybe 3 or 4 of them, and they were great. And you're doing a great job also. يعطيكم العافية جميعا وشكرا.
الله يعافيك يا دكتورة.
Thank you.
Thank you. So by this, if there is no questions, we can conclude our session. Thank you very much for your listening, and we hope that you enjoy and you get the benefit from this meeting. Thank you very much.